بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين حمدا كثيرا طيبا مباركا فيه كما يحب ربنا ويرضى وأشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده ربي لا شريك له وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله وصفيه من خلقه وخليله صلى الله عليه وعلى آله وصحبه ومن اهتدى بهديه إلى يوم الدين. أما بعد. إخواني في الله, in these brief moments we would like to speak about a subject which is of great importance, and it is a matter that every Muslim should give importance to. And this affair is none other than purifying our souls. Being that our success in this worldly life that we live in, as well as that day when we stand in front of Allah Azza wa Jal, has much to do with the purification of our souls. And without a doubt, Ikhwani Fillah, that the greatest blessing that Allah Azza wa Jal He has given to this ummah of Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam is that He sent to this ummah a messenger from amongst themselves, removing them from the darkness of dhulm, oppression and shirk and kufr and ignorance, and other than this, from the wicked actions that they were upon, to the light of ilm, knowledge, as well as iman and al-a'mal as-salihah, righteous actions. Allah Tabaraka wa Ta'ala, He says, لَقَدْ مَنَّ اللَّهُ عَلَى الْمُؤْمِنِينَ إِذْ بَعَثَ فِيهِمْ رَسُولًا مِنْ أَنفُسِهِمْ. Allah Azza wa Jal, He has surely shown His blessing to the believers as He sent to them a messenger from amongst themselves. يَتْلُ عَلَيْهِمْ آيَاتِهِ وَيُزَكِّيهِمْ. He recites upon them the ayat of Allah Azza wa Jal. وَيُزَكِّيهِمْ. And He purifies them. وَيُعَلِّمُهُمُ الْكِتَابَ وَالْحِكْمَةِ. And He teaches them the book, which is the book of Allah, as well as the hikmah, meaning the sunnah of the Messenger sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. As Ahl al-Ilm they have mentioned, وَإِن كَانُوا مِن قَبْلُ لَفِي ضَلَالٍ مُبِينٍ. And while they were before this, meaning that before this messenger came to them, purifying them and teaching them from the Quran and the hikmah, while they were before this, لَفِي ضَلَالٍ مُبِينٍ, upon plain and clear error. This is what they were upon. So this, wallahi, is a great bounty upon us, that Allah Azza wa Jal He has sent to us this noble messenger who taught us from the Quran and the Sunnah, and who purified us. The noble Imam Ibn Kathir rahimahullah ta'ala, he sheds more light upon what is intended by the purification in some of the ayat which are found in Surah Al-Baqarah. He clarifies what is intended by this purification, this tazkiyah, by mentioning that He purifies them from the lowly and base actions and mannerisms, as well as the filth of the souls and the actions of jahiliyyah, the actions of pre-Islamic ignorance. So He removes them from this into light, and this is the light of iman and knowledge and righteous actions. And others from Ahl al-Ilm, they have mentioned that this purification, it is from shirk and kufr to iman, and these meanings, they are similar. So this is surely a great bounty from Allah Tabaraka wa Ta'ala, that He has sent to us this messenger who is purifying us by way of that which He has brought from Allah Tabaraka wa Ta'ala. And we also benefit, Ikhwani Fillah, that the purification of the soul, it does not occur except by way of that which Allah Azza wa Jal He has sent to us from the Quran and the Sunnah. There is no other purification except this purification. So if you see anyone calling to the purification of the soul by other than that which Allah Azza wa Jal He has sent down whether this is in the Quran or this is in the Sunnah of the Messenger sallallahu alaihi wasallam, then we know that this is a person who is upon deviation in his belief. He's upon clear deviation in his belief. And the noble Imam, Shaykh al-Islam ibn Taymiyyah rahimahullah ta'ala, he clarified that what is intended by the purification of the soul, or the purification of the soul, it occurs by two matters. He said either this is بِتَرْكِ الْمُحَرَّمَاتِ, the person abandoning and staying away from and avoiding the muharramat, the things which are forbidden, or فِعْلُ الْمَأْمُورَاتِ, that the person, he does that which he has been commanded to do. So this short speech of this Imam, it carries great meaning if we reflect and ponder. There's two ways that the person, he purifies his soul. Either he's abandoning the evil deeds that Allah Azza wa Jal, He has warned him from, or he's doing the righteous deed that Allah Azza wa Jal, He has ordered him to do. And this is how the person purifies his soul. He does these things upon the methodology of that which the Messenger ﷺ came with in the Sunnah, and he brings with him sincerity. He has with him ikhlas in these actions. This is how the person, he purifies himself. And this matter of the purification, it is surely great. As we mentioned, ikhwani, this is a sabab. This is a reason for the person's success in the hereafter. When he stands in front of Allah Azza wa Jal, يَوْمَ لَا يَنْفَعُ مَالٌ وَلَا بَنُونَ إِلَّا مَنْ أَتَى اللَّهَ بِقَلْبٍ سَلِيمٍ. On the day where no money or no children, they have no avail, except for the one who meets Allah Azza wa Jal with a heart which is safe and which is pure. For this reason we find Allah Azza wa Jal, He has emphasized and given great importance to this matter, the matter of the purification of the soul. We find Allah Azza wa Jal emphasizing this in several ayat. From these ayat is that we find in Surah Al-Shams that Allah Azza wa Jal, He swears 11 times. He gave 11 oaths to show the great magnitude of this affair of the purification of the soul. Allah Azza wa Jal, He says, وَالشَّمْسِ وَالضُّحَاهَا, He says, I swear by the sun and its brilliance or its shine. وَالْقَمَرِ إِذَا تَلَاهَا, and by the moon as it follows it. وَالنَّهَارِ إِذَا جَلَّاهَا, and by the day when its light, it uncovers what is upon the earth. وَاللَّيْلِ إِذَا يَغْشَاهَا, and by the night when its darkness or its veil, it covers the earth. وَالسَّمَاءِ وَمَا بَنَاهَا, Allah, He swears here by the sama, by the heaven, وَمَا بَنَاهَا, and by the one who created it, who is Himself, tabaraka wa ta'ala. وَالْأَرْضِ وَمَا طَحَاهَا, and by the earth and the one who extended it. وَنَفْسٍ وَمَا سَوَّاهَا, and by the soul and the one who perfected it. فَأَلْهَمَهَا فُجُورَهَا وَتَقْوَاهَا, and He directed it, meaning the soul, He directed it and He clarified to it the affairs of piety as well as the affairs of disobedience to Allah Azza wa Jal. And some of Ahlul Ilm, they have mentioned that this is similar to the statement of Allah, وَهَدَيْنَاهُ نَجْدَيْنِ, and we have guided him to the two paths, meaning the path of righteousness as well as the path of sin and transgression. After these oaths that we have mentioned, Allah Azza wa Jal swearing by His creation, one after the other, one after the other. What is the response to these oaths? What is Allah Azza wa Jal mentioning this for? Allah Azza wa Jal, He says after this, قَدْ أَفْلَحَ مَنْ زَكَّاهَا, surely and indeed, he is successful, the one who purifies it, meaning his soul. And this purification, Imam Sa'adi rahimahullah, he mentions that this purification means by purifying it from the sins. He purifies it from the sins, and he cleans it from flaws, and he raises it upon the obedience of Allah Azza wa Jal. He raises it by the way of the obedience of Allah Azza wa Jal, and He elevates it by way of knowledge and actions which are of righteousness. So these are the ways of the purification. Abandoning the sin as it has passed us, and the person cleansing his soul from the uyub, from the flaws which it has with it. Whether this is kibr, yani person feeling haughty and arrogant towards the people, or whether this is him looking down upon the people, or other than this, from the evil in which the soul has with it, you give efforts in purifying your soul from these matters. And the Shaykh, rahimahullah ta'ala, he gave us ways of doing this. بِطَاعَةِ اللَّهِ, by the obedience of Allah Azza wa Jal, and raising it by knowledge as well as righteous action. Which all goes back to which we mentioned earlier from the speech of Shaykh al-Islam, that the purification of the soul returns back to two matters. However you want to look at it, in generality or specifically, they go back to two affairs, which is the person doing that which he's been ordered to do from the ma'murat, the things he's been commanded with, and abandoning the muharramat, those things that Allah Azza wa Jal, He has made forbidden. Allah Azza wa Jal, He then says, after clarifying that the one who is successful is the one who purifies his soul, He says, وَقَدْ خَابَ مَنْ دَسَّاهَا, and surely he is destroyed, and he has lost the one who has covered it, or he has corrupted it. And this covering of the soul, it occurs by the person, as Ahl al-Ilm they have mentioned, the person covering it with sin and evil and foul actions, and leaving off knowledge and action. Leaving off knowledge and action, this is from the ways that a person, he corrupts his soul and he covers it. He covers it with sin, meaning. So this statement of this Imam is a statement for us to ponder over and reflect, Ikhwani fillah, being that it is a matter of great importance, this purification of the soul. As Allah Azza wa Jal, He has sworn, as we mentioned, He has sworn 11 times in order to come to this answer, which is the one who purifies his soul, he is the one who is successful. For wallahi, this is a sha'n which is azim. This is a matter of great importance. And the Messenger sallallahu alayhi wasallam, he knew the importance of the purification of the soul. He knew the level of this purification and what it does for the person. We find in Sahih Muslim on the authority of Zayd bin Arqam radiallahu anhu, that he said that the Messenger sallallahu alayhi wasallam, he used to make dua. And from what he used to say in his dua, Allahumma ati nafsi taqwaha, O Allah, give to my soul its piety. وَزَكِّهَا أَنْتَ خَيْرُ مَنْ زَكَّاهَا, and purify it. And purify it. Imam al-Nawawi, he clarifies here, saying, وَأَنْتَ خَيْرُ مَنْ زَكَّاهَا, and you are the only one who purifies it. You're the only one who purifies it. أَنْتَ وَلِيُّهَا وَمَوْلَاهَا, you are its supporter and its protector, as well as its master. So our souls have no other master and no other protector or supporter besides Allah Azza wa Jal. So it is upon us to call upon Him and beg Him to purify our souls if we desire success, Ikhwani fillah. Being that He alone is capable of doing this. And we find Allah Azza wa Jal saying in the Quran al-Kareem, وَلَوْلَا فَضْلُ اللَّهِ عَلَيْكُمْ وَرَحْمَتُهُ مَا زَكَى مِنْكُمْ مِنْ أَحَدٍ أَبَدًا. If it wasn't for the bounty of Allah upon you and His mercy, He would have never purified a single person from amongst you ever. Not a single one of us, Ikhwani fillah, would be purified if it wasn't for the rahmah, if it wasn't for the mercy of Allah Azza wa Jal, as well as His bounty upon us. Who would be able to purify us if it wasn't for Allah Azza wa Jal purifying us? Then Allah Azza wa Jal, He says in the ayah, وَلَكِنَّ اللَّهَ يُزَكِّي مَنْ يَشَاءُ وَاللَّهُ سَمِيعٌ عَلِيمٌ. However, Allah, He purifies whomsoever He desires, and Allah, He is the all-hearing, the all-knowing. We also benefit, Ikhwani fillah, from the previous hadith. The dua, calling upon Allah, is a reason for the purification of the soul. It is a reason for the purification of the soul. Being that the Messenger sallallahu alayhi wasallam, the one whom his sins have been forgiven, the past of them, and that which would occur, all of his sins are forgiven. And yet he is asking Allah Azza wa Jal to purify his soul. He's asking Allah, calling upon Him, saying, you are the only one who purifies our soul. Where are we then from this? How many of us are seeking from Allah Tabaraka wa Ta'ala to purify it? our souls, begging Him for this purification. And we have in the Messenger sallallahu alayhi wasallam the best of example, as Allah Azza wa Jal, He has said, لَقَدْ كَانَ لَكُمْ فِي رَسُولِ اللَّهِ أُسْوَةٌ حَسَنَةٌ لِمَنْ كَانَ يَرْجُو اللَّهَ وَالْيَوْمَ الْآخِرَ وَذَكَرَ اللَّهَ كَثِيرًا. Indeed, you have in the Messenger sallallahu alayhi wasallam the best of examples for the one who hopes for Allah Azza wa Jal, as well as the Day of Judgment, and he remembers Allah much, and he remembers Allah much. And the Messenger sallallahu alayhi wasallam, he also used to make dua in the mornings and the evenings from his remembrances. Is that he used to say, in the hadith reported by Abu Dawud, as well as others, on the authority of Abi Hurairah radiallahu anhu, the Messenger sallallahu alayhi wasallam used to say, أعوذ بك من شر نفسي وشر الشيطان وشركه. I seek refuge in you from the evil of my soul, as well as the shaitan and the shirk in which he calls to. So where are we from this, ikhwani fillah? Remembering Allah daily and in the mornings and the evenings, seeking from Him to protect us from the evil of our souls. Where are we from this? And how many of us act upon this and implement this? If we are not doing this, then we have to reflect. We have to reflect and take ourselves to account before we stand in front of Allah Azza wa Jal. Being that these ahadith, they have been sent down to the Messenger sallallahu alayhi wasallam as a guidance for us, similar to the Quran. So we must implement them if we are seeking for ourselves safety on the Day of Judgment. And it is upon the slave who wants success to call upon Allah Azza wa Jal, to call upon Him and invoke Him and make dua, asking Allah Azza wa Jal to give him safety from the evil of his soul. Being that the soul it has with the evil, the souls, they have it with the evil. And this is a test for the person. Allah Azza wa Jal, He has clarified this to us in Surah Yusuf. And the Mufassirun, the scholars of Tafsir, they have differed as to the one who mentioned this ayat which are coming. Was it Yusuf or was it the wife of Aziz, the wife of the king? But it is mentioned, وَمَا أُبَرِّئُ نَفْسِي إِنَّ النَّفْسَ لَأَمَّارَةٌ بِالسُّوءِ إِلَّا مَنْ رَحِمَ رَبِّي. And I do not free my soul. Indeed, the nafs, the soul, لَأَمَّارَةٌ بِالسُّوءِ, it is an extreme commander with evil, except for the one who Allah Azza wa Jal, He has mercy upon. إِنَّ رَبِّي غَفُورٌ رَحِيمٌ. Surely my Lord, He is merciful and He is forgiving. He is merciful and He is forgiving. So Allah Azza wa Jal, He has clarified to us in these ayat that the soul, it has with it evil. And it is upon the slave who wants success to ask Allah to purify him. Ask Allah to purify him. Being that if the person, he allows his soul to overcome him and lead him towards the actions of indecency and evil and wickedness, it will cause him to become destroyed. It will destroy you. It will destroy you. So you must seek refuge in Allah and strive, Ya Abdullah, in purifying your soul. Purifying your soul and preventing it from its desires of wickedness. And the one who does so, surely he is the one who is successful. He is the one who is successful. The one who prevents his soul from the evil that it has with it and from the desire that it calls to. For Allah Azza wa Jal, He has said, فَأَمَّا مَنْ خَافَ مَقَامَ رَبِّهِ وَنَهَى النَّفْسَ عَنِ الْهَوَى فَإِنَّ الْجَنَّةَ هِيَ الْمَأْوَى. As for the one who fears the standing in front of his Lord, and he prevents his soul from its hawa, from its desires. He prevents his soul from its desires, meaning the desires of wickedness that it has with it. فَإِنَّ الْجَنَّةَ هِيَ الْمَأْوَى. Then surely the Jannah, it is the place of his abode. His abode is the Jannah. So we have to strive in preventing our souls from the evil which it has within itself, as well as the desires. And if we do so, بِإِذْنِ اللَّهِ عَزَّ وَجَلَّ, and we strive in this matter, then Allah Azza wa Jal, He has said, for the person who is successful in this, فَإِنَّ الْجَنَّةَ هِيَ الْمَأْوَى. Then surely the Jannah, this is his abode. This is his abode. As for the one who is opposite to this, what did Allah Azza wa Jal say? وَأَمَّا مَنْ طَغَى وَآثَرَ الْحَيَاةَ الدُّنْيَا فَإِنَّ الْجَحِيمَ هِيَ الْمَأْوَى. As for the one who transgresses and he chooses the worldly life of the dunya, this lowly life of the dunya, the person transgresses and he chooses it, what is his result? فَإِنَّ الْجَحِيمَ هِيَ الْمَأْوَى. Then surely Jahim, which is another name from the names of the hellfire, this is his abode. This is his abode. So it is upon every believer to contemplate and reflect over this ayah, in order for him to realize the greatness of this matter. The greatness of this matter. Being that the person, if he does not prevent his soul from the evil which he has with it, as we mentioned, Ikhwani Fillah, it will pull him towards his destruction. It will pull him and lead him straight into his destruction. And how many of the kuffar do you see today? And the fujjar, that their souls have overcome them, leading them to every indecency that you can think of, and every wicked action which can come to mind. Their soul has led him to it, and by this it has destroyed him. The one who dies upon it, he is destroyed. He is destroyed, the one who dies upon this. So we see them, the people who have become slaves to their soul. They became slaves to their soul, and their soul became a deity and a god for them. And you see them while they are alive, individuals in the most lowly of manners and the most lowly of positions and characteristics, that even the animals are of better status than them. Allah Azza wa Jalla, He mentions about these people, أَفَرَأَيْتَ مَنِ اتَّخَذَ إِلَهَهُ هَوَاهُ فَأَضَلَّهُ اللَّهُ عَلَى عِلْمٍ. Have you not seen the person who has taken his Lord as his desires? So Allah Azza wa Jalla, He caused him to become misguided, having knowledge about that which he was upon. Then Allah Azza wa Jalla, He says, وَخَتَمَ عَلَى سَمْعِهِ وَقَلْبِهِ. And He put a seal upon his hearing as well as his heart. وَجَعَلَ عَلَى بَصَرِهِ غِشَاوَةً. And He placed upon his eyes a covering. Look at the end result of the person who follows his desires. He continues to follow that which his soul leads him to, until his soul becomes his Lord. It is like he is worshipping it. Anything his soul orders him to do, he is doing it. What is his end result? Allah seals his heart, and Allah seals his hearing, and Allah puts a covering upon his eyes. Then Allah Azza wa Jal, He says, Tabaraka wa Ta'ala, فَمَنْ يَهْدِهِ مِنْ بَعْدِ اللَّهِ أَفَلَا تَذَكَّرُونَ. Who then will guide him after Allah? Who then will guide him besides Allah? Who will guide him? This man whose heart has been sealed and his hearing has been sealed and there's a covering upon his eyes. Who besides Allah can guide him? Billah alaykum. There's none but Allah Azza wa Jal who can guide him. And this is the end result of the people who transgress and become criminals and follow their desires and the evil in which they cause to. He does not see the truth, rather he sees it as falsehood, and he sees the falsehood as truth. He has become misguided and led astray. As for the people of Iman, the people who do righteous actions, and the people who prevent their desires, they prevent their soul from that which it desires, and the people who put their trust in Allah, then these people are seeking the pleasure of Allah. They're seeking the pleasure of Allah. Allah Azza wa Jalla, He says, وَمَنْ يَأْتِهِ مُؤْمِنًا قَدْ عَمِلَ الصَّالِحَاتِ فَأُولَٰئِكَ لَهُمُ الدَّرَجَاتُ الْعُلَىٰ. And the one who comes to his Lord as a believer, and he has done righteous deeds, and for them, فَأُولَٰئِكَ لَهُمُ الدَّرَجَاتُ الْعُلَىٰ. They have the lofty stages in the Jannah. They have the lofty stages in the paradise. Allah Azza wa Jal says, جَنَّاتُ عَدْنٍ تَجْرِي مِنْ تَحْتِهَا الْأَنْهَارُ خَالِدِينَ فِيهَا. The gardens of establishment which they shall reside. تَجْرِي مِنْ تَحْتِهَا الْأَنْهَارُ. Rivers, they flow underneath them. خَالِدِينَ فِيهَا. They remain in there forever. Who is this for? Who is this for, Ya Abdullah? Allah Azza wa Jalla, He says, وَذَلِكَ جَزَاءُ مَنْ تَزَكَّى. This is the result and the reward for the one who purifies himself. So you're seeking the Jannah, you're seeking the pleasure of Allah, you're seeking rivers of honey and milk and alcohol, which does not intoxicate, nor does it bring headaches or any of these things. Then what is that we should be striving in? Purifying our souls. Purifying our souls. And we should also know, Ikhwani Fillah, that this purification of our souls, it only returns to us in benefit. It only returns to us in benefit. We're not increasing Allah in anything, nor are we decreasing Him in anything if we decide to disobey Him. Rather, we're only harming ourselves. وَمَنْ تَزَكَّى فَإِنَّمَا يَتَزَكَّى لِنَفْسِهِ. And whosoever purifies himself, he's only purifying himself, meaning for his own benefit. And there are many turuq, there are many paths and ways of purifying the soul, ikhwani fillah. As we mentioned, generally some of them. And from the best of these ways is for the person to establish tawheed. The tawheed of Allah Azza wa Jal, singing Allah Azza wa Jal in His worship. Na'am, this is from the tawheed of Allah Azza wa Jal, which is the best way of the purification of the soul to occur. Being that the Messenger sallallahu alayhi wasallam, he was sent to the people to remove them from the ignorance of jahl and kufr and ma'asi, sins and oppression and disbelief and so on, into the light of ilm wal iman, into the light of knowledge as well as iman. So this is the best way of the purification of the soul. The person establishes tawheed, and the person comes with the sunnah. He follows the sunnah and his actions in which he does, as well as ikhlas, he brings sincerity. Allah Azza wa Jal, He said, وَمَا أُمِرُوا إِلَّا لِيَعْبُدُوا اللَّهَ مُخْلِصِينَ لَهُ الدِّينَ. And they were not ordered except to worship Allah Azza wa Jal, making their religion solely for Him. And from the ways of purifying the soul is the establishing of the salah. Establishing the salah. Allah Azza wa Jal, He has said about the salah, إِنَّ الصَّلَاةَ تَنْهَى عَنِ الْفَحْشَاءِ وَالْمُنْكَرِ. Surely the salah, it prevents from fahsha, from indecencies, as well as evil matters. And this is the salah which is established upon that which the Messenger ﷺ has brought to us. As he has said, صَلُّوا كَمَا رَأَيْتُمُونِي أُصَلِّي. Pray as you have seen me pray. The person praying as the Messenger ﷺ prayed, this is from the reasons of the purification of the soul, in which he purifies himself from the wickedness in which he has with it. As well as the zakah, ikhwani fillah, giving the zakah, and which has become forgotten and abandoned in many places of the world. As Allah Azza wa Jal, He has said that this is a reason for the purification of the soul. He has said, خُذْ مِنْ أَمْوَالِهِمْ صَدَقَةً تُطَهِّرُهُمْ وَتُزَكِّيهِمْ بِهَا. Take from their wealth a sadaqah, which purifies them, and cleans them. وَصَلِّ عَلَيْهِمْ. And make dua for them. Surely your dua is peace and tranquility upon them. And from the matters which also purify the soul and aids a person in cleansing his soul from the wickedness it has with it, is fasting. And there comes towards us the blessed month of Ramadan, in which we ask Allah Azza wa Jal to benefit us by way of it, and to implement actions of righteousness so that we may purify our souls. As this month, it has been established from the hikam, the wisdoms in which Allah Azza wa Jal, He has made this month of legislation to us. It's for the person to be of the people of taqwa, to be from the people of taqwa, the people of piety. Allah Azza wa Jal, He has said, يَا أَيُّهَا الَّذِينَ آمَنُوا كُتِبَ عَلَيْكُمُ الصِّيَامُ كَمَا كُتِبَ عَلَى الَّذِينَ مِنْ قَبْلِكُمْ لَعَلَّكُمْ تَتَّقُونَ. O you who believe, this fasting has become ordained or written upon you, as it was for the people who came before you, لَعَلَّكُمْ تَتَّقُونَ, so that you may be from those who are pious. So this is a reason for the purification of the soul. As the taqwa, the piety, and the purification of the soul, they go hand in hand. You cannot find a person of piety except that he's purifying his soul. Except that he's purifying his soul and striving in this. Na'am ikhwani fillah. So we must strive in this month and give time to the reading of the Quran, which is another way of purifying our souls. إِنَّ هَذَا الْقُرْآنَ يَهْدِي لِلَّتِي هِيَ أَقْوَمُ. Surely this Quran guides to that which is upright. To that which is upright. In all matters. So let us take time in reciting the Quran and pondering over that which it has with it from meanings, and to do righteous deeds, and to pray the Qiyam al-Layl, which is the Taraweeh prayer which is prayed, and other than this, from the righteous actions and which our purification of our souls will occur in. We ask Allah Azza wa Jal to benefit us by that which we have mentioned, and to aid us in purifying our souls. Walhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen.